What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Of course, you know it's your boy B Hot Radio Shout in, stepping in the building. I got an artist that's tearing up the streets right now as we speak. Caskey, what's good with it, boss?
You are so good at that.
Hey, man, I got to bring it in the right way every time, man.
I like that. I'm doing well, man.
I mean, this Cadillac music, man.
Yes, sir.
Break it down to me.
Yes, sir. It's my first project that I've worked on since moving back to my hometown.
Okay.
So I think that's where a lot of the energy comes from. It's me and this dude Anonymous, whole project top to bottom. Okay. Every sound produced by him, every lyric written by me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's just got a special energy because it's got that hometown feel, and it's me being around my family, around my homies, and just getting personal about my life.
Exactly. I mean, Firestarter, I had a chance to check that one out, man. I mean, you're going crazy on that one as well, bro.
Yes, sir.
I mean, break down the creative process behind the music. When you get into that studio and it's time for you to go in, how are we coming up with these hits?
Shit, honestly, like, I try to go into the studio with, like, no expectations.
Okay.
Like, I don't think I ever know it's so much of being an artist is, like, failing. I'd say, like, 90% of being in the studio is, like, making shit that you leave and you're like, that probably wasn't it. So I try to go in with no expectations. Firestarter was actually a record that I was working on, the Yellow Wolf Black Sheep Part 2 project. Yeah. That was originally going to be a record for that, and then I just got selfish and was like, dude, I really want this one. It feels like me. It feels like my pocket. But yeah, I think I just go in every time with no expectations, and a lot of times magic happens. I've also learned that sometimes, like, the best records that you make happen when you're not particularly inspired. Facts. I think artists kind of have it backwards. I know I did for a long time. Like, I thought I had to be at the height of my inspiration to make something really special. And what I found is that sometimes it works like that. Sometimes I'm really inspired and I leave, and then a week later I listen to the song and I'm like, this kind of sucks. And then it's also vice versa. Like, sometimes you're not particularly inspired and you make something magical. So I think I've just learned to, like, work the muscle and just get in there every time. And I try not to really think too much about what I'm going to talk about. I let the beat bring that out of me. I don't really write much without the music.
I can dig that. I got to ask you about the tats, man.
Yeah.
I mean, how many do you have? What was it that made you go in that direction with it?
It's just like one big one at this point. It's just like a big bodysuit at this point. I don't know. I grew up in the like heavy metal scene. Like when I was in high school, all my friends were in bands, so I always, like, looked up to rock stars and people like that. So I think from an early age I just wanted to be super covered. Like, I remember being like 13 and planning out how I think I'd look. Luckily I didn't get those, because you have really shitty tattoo ideas when you're 13.
Exactly. Got a big Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. But I started when I was 15, and not much older, but I didn't get really covered till about 18. But I mean, I'm going on like 10 years of covering. My older brother's a tattoo artist, so I got the cheat code, and I just But he gets a kick out of just fucking me up at this point. Like, my whole head. Can I cuss on here?
Say what you feel,
fucking me up. But yeah, it's just like my whole head, my ears, my back of my head, whole thing. I love it, honestly.
My God,
it's funny. There's been a viral clip going around of this guy talking about how, like, heavily tattooed people, it mostly is a signal of, like, anxiety and mental instability, which, like, I'm not necessarily gonna 100% argue with, but for me, like, I've always felt better, like, the more that I got. Like, when I look in the, like, every time now when I wake up, I look in the mirror, I'm like, that's fucking sick. Like, every time I catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror, I'm like, this is fucking awesome. So for me, it's cool being able to, like, create this avatar that you live in. Yeah. And I don't know, I just fucking love this. I had the idea for the teeth, like, jaw over my van.
That's what I like.
I love it, yeah. I had this idea. You ever seen the movie Apocalypto?
Yeah.
So you know the guy that leads the tribe that has the big jaw hanging from his necklace? Yeah, I saw that and I was like, man, you always see these tattoos of, like, a girl or a guy with, like, a lion head over him or something like that. So I always knew I wanted to do this, and I'd never really seen it before. Yeah. And so the more the idea just brewed in my head, I was like, I had to do this before somebody else does, because I just pulled it. If I'm not gonna do it, nobody's gonna do it. So I had to start.
Now, with you and Anonymous getting together, man, and working on all of this music, What is y'all vibe like that you said, you know what, Anonymous, you got to produce this whole thing, sir?
Well, we've been working for like what 10 years now. Like, so I met Anonymous like real early in my career. He actually gave me an ounce of weed to listen to his beats, which was the best marketing. Yeah, it was the best marketing tactic ever. It was like a mutual friend told me, hey, this dude's got an ounce of weed for you to come listen to his beats, and we just hit it off. Then we had good chemistry, and then he ended up producing a bunch of records on one of my first big projects, Black Sheep 2.
Okay.
So we've always kind of had that working relationship. We've always made music together. And then I think him and I just have like a really similar approach to music and inspiration. And both of us like staying in our lane and not thinking too much. You know, all artists are different. Some people think about what the current of music is and want to emulate that, and for us it's like we've always like not really cared what the industry was doing or what was popular, because you know, stuff that shakes the world and makes waves is mostly in its own lane, and it's new at the time, or it's, you know, stayed true to yourself. Even like classic New York backpack kind of stuff is making a reoccurrence now, and the people that really resonate with that and have stayed in that lane are shining, you know. So for us, like, we have a similar outlook and approach, and so it just made sense for us to do a whole project.
Coming out of Orlando with it, what was it like trying to get your music heard and growing that fan base to the point to where you're getting millions of streams and views and everything else?
Yeah, Orlando's like a weird city, because I've been to, now that I've traveled a lot, I've been to a lot of cities that feel like there is this like big local scene and culture. And like Orlando's unique because it's a big tourist capital. A lot of people have moved there from other places. So I feel like it kind of lacks that local scene. I mean, there was local scene growing up, but it wasn't like overwhelming local support like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. At some point, I kind of just broke out of that. Like you know, the signing the Cash Money and Birdman thing happened early in my career.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like random and unexpected. And so, you know, it kind of just propelled me out of that. And so I think the blessing with the internet nowadays is that you don't have to think too much. Like, you don't have to only have local support first, which is cool. Like, I probably have the most love out of anywhere in Orlando now, but
yeah,
I think the cool thing about the internet is you don't have to worry about that too much. Like, your fan base is out there, and if you just use the internet to reach people. But I mean, it was competitive. There were lots of very talented artists where I grew up. Like, that's one thing I will say. Like, I never felt like I always felt like a special artist, or that I had something unique, you know, in my own journey. But I never felt like particularly the best rapper. Like, some of my homies today, I still think are better rappers than me. There's lots of talented people, you know, where I'm from. But I had this like relentless vision. Like, I just had no plan B. I never thought, once I found music, I never even like thought about doing anything else.
How the hell did you find yourself on Cash Money? How did that whole situation link up?
Yeah, so I don't know, man. The universe is weird. Like, things match up and happen that you don't. I wasn't trying to get signed by a label or anything. I had a record with a friend of mine from Orlando. It was actually like kind of a pop song that I was featured on. And his manager was DJ Nasty at the time, who was like Khaled's right-hand man.
Okay.
And so Nasty had came to Birdman to show him this artist and one of the records I was featured on. And Bird was like, wait, who's that dude? And so just randomly one day I get a phone call and it's like, hey, this is Stunner. And I was like, I didn't believe it. I'm like, who the fuck is this? And he's like, it's Birdman. And I was like, shut the fuck up. And he's like, Nephew, it's Birdman. Come to Miami. I want to meet you. And, you know, it's like, I don't know. The whole thing was surreal, but super solid dude, super cool. Like, I feel like I had a unique and lucky situation with the label where I didn't really go through the like label A&R hoops. It was just Birdman being like, wow, this kid's talented. And I think he knew at the time, like, I was super new to being an artist, and so I had a lot of development to do and growth. But he just didn't really care. It wasn't like a money play for him. It was just like, I believe in your talent, and I believe in the longevity of you as an artist, and you know.